The psychology of people who prefer being alone and why society keeps getting them wrong. Script, there's a very specific moment that reveals a lot about a person. Someone says, "Big party this weekend," and instantly, without sadness, without fear, without resentment, their mind drifts somewhere else. Not to excuses, not to anxiety, but to relief. A quiet evening, a familiar room. Their own thoughts, uninterrupted. And almost immediately, society steps in with a label. Antisocial, lonely, emotionally closed off. Something must be wrong. But what if that entire assumption is backwards? What if choosing solitude isn't a red flag, but a sign of psychological clarity? Because psychology has finally started to separate two things we spent decades confusing: being lonely and choosing to be alone. One is a wound. The other can be a strength. And the difference between them changes everything. The mistake psychology made for decades, for most of modern psychological history. People who enjoyed being alone were lumped into a single vague category: introverts, loners, withdrawn personalities. And worst of all, antisocial. That word alone did massive damage. Because antisocial doesn't mean likes solitude. It means hostility toward others, lack of empathy, disregard for social rules. But enjoying your own company has nothing to do with any of that. Yet culturally, we treated it like a warning sign. If you preferred quiet weekends, you were missing out. If you canceled plans, you were avoiding life. If you ate alone, people assumed something was wrong. No one stopped to ask a simpler question. What if some people genuinely feel better when they're alone? Not because they're afraid, not because they're broken, but because solitude restores them. That question changed everything. The concept that changed the conversation. Unsociability. In the mid-2010s, psychologists began separating different reasons people withdraw socially. One key contribution came from researchers at the University at Buffalo. We introduced clearer distinctions between social anxiety, avoiding people out of fear, social withdrawal, pulling back due to distress, antisocial behavior, hostility or disregard for others, unsociability, a preference for solitude without fear or resentment. Unsociability isn't avoidance. It's not rejection. It's not loneliness. It's neutrality. You can connect. You just don't need constant connection.